and we're from Cardiac Rehab. As you all know, we decided to do a little video for you guys to show you a couple exercise moves you can do to try to help you stay active or give you some ideas to help you stay active while we're at home trying to stay healthy.
So just remember to try and stay active at home, wash your hands, keep up with all the recommendations, and you guys will be just fine.
Okay, the first thing that we wanted to go over was to remember that you need to do your stretches. Even though we're not there with you, it's very important to do your warm up and cool down just like you would if you were to come in to see us at rehab. There's lots of benefits to both of those. We are going to be sending you a picture just like the one that's on the wall when you come to see us, just to help you remember all of them. But any kind of stretching that you want to do at home is perfect before we start. The second tip we wanted to give you is to stay hydrated while you're exercising. Even though you're not there with us and you might not work as much sweat up as you would if you were to come to the gym and we are monitoring you, you still are going to be getting your heart rate up and you still are going to be sweating and losing electrolytes. So it's really important to stay hydrated, especially while all this sickness is going around. Next thing that we wanted to go over was the signs and symptoms to watch for while you're exercising at home. We're not there with you, so make sure that you're really aware of if you have any signs or symptoms of dizziness, extreme fatigue, chest pain, or shortness of breath that you normally wouldn't have when you exercise. If you have any of those, please stop what you're exercising and rest. You know, maybe you need to rehydrate, or there's other things that you need to look into before we restart. We're going to tell you one about the heart rate, and I'm going to teach you how to do your pulse, but then Mackenzie's going to tell you a couple other ways to monitor how hard you're exercising at home. But the first one is when you exercise at home, since you're not monitored, I'd really like you to get your resting heart rate. So you're going to check your pulse. I'm going to teach you that in a second. And I really would only like you to go 20 beats above your resting heart rate. So I've taught some of you, but not all of you. So I'm going to try to do this on this video, and it might be hard, but so if you don't like doing it this way, it's fine. Mackenzie will explain a couple different ways. But you take your two fingers, you have to use your two fingers. If you use like your thumb or something, you'll feel the pulse out of your thumb also, so it can alter the number. But you take your two fingers and you slide it down the thumb side of your wrist, and there should be two bones there you can feel, and lightly press against it. And you can feel your pulse that way. And you can count it if you watch the seconds hand on a clock for a full minute, you can count the beats, and that's your resting heart rate. Some people like to do it 30 seconds and double it also, but whatever number you get during that time, that's your resting. And then whenever you're exerting yourself, you only want to go about 20 beats above that to make sure that you're not overexerting yourself while you're not being monitored.
And if you think the heart rate's going to be too hard for you, or if you have trouble feeling the pulse or anything, there's two other ways you can measure how hard you're working during a workout. So the first one is the rating of perceived exertion, that Borg scale. That's the scale that we have hanging up. It has the blue, green, and red zones. So you want to remember to stay in the green zone, working somewhat hard, and about 12 to 14 if you remember the numbers, and I'll try and send that in the email as well. And if you don't remember the chart, or if you can't do the heart rate, you can also do the talk test, which is just a really quick way to kind of gauge what intensity you're working out at. So the talk test is just basically saying that I could have a conversation with Jalen while I'm working out, and I wouldn't be too out of breath, but I wouldn't be able to sing or yell. So you should just be able to have a normal conversation while you're working out, and that'll give you about what intensity you need to be working out at. So while you guys are working out at home, there's a couple different durations that you can do. I always recommend to do at least 3 times a week, 30 minutes. And if you're comfortable with doing that, that's fine. I've seen a lot of research that shows that if you do 10-minute bouts, that adds up to 30 minutes. So if you need to split it up, you can do that, but at least 3 times a week, 30 minutes. If you want to do the same protocol that we do here, if you do 3 3-minute arm exercises here and 3 8-minute leg exercises here, you're welcome to continue with that. But just, something to keep you active on at least 3 days of the week.
Okay, and then I'm also going to send in the email this chart. If you cannot print it, that's fine. This is just an example, because if you can keep track of what you're doing, we can kind of go off of that when you come back to see us. And on this, it has a place for like your blood pressure, your pre-heart rate if you are able to take it, or even your RPE. I added in that spot. But then there's empty spaces you could put what kind of activity you did. And it doesn't even have to be one of them that we showed you. You know, if you do have means to a treadmill or let's say a recumbent bike or something like that, that's perfect also. Just any kind of activity that you do, write it on here and we can keep track of what you did. Or even if you tried something and you had issues with it, any kind of documentation would be great for when you come back. And like I said, it doesn't have to be on this. I was just going to try to give you an example, but you can write it down on any kind of paper would be great. But blood pressure, and even if you need to keep track of your weights, that's perfect too. If you're weighing yourself daily, we would love to see those also, just to know where you're at when you come back to see us. The first thing that we're going to show you guys is some aerobic exercises you can do. Some of our patients, they don't have a treadmill or a recumbent bike at home, so we've told them to do circles just around their house, or even if it's nice outside, they can go outside of the driveway and, you know, walk to the mailbox and back for however much their time is that they're going to exercise. We have a couple different things you can even do if it is kind of gloomy outside. They will also count as aerobics, or as if you were coming to see us, a leg exercise. This would replace it.
In addition to walking, I know we've shown a lot of you the sit to stands is what we call them. So with that, you want to try to do it without your arms because you want to work your legs. But so you're just gonna take a seat and then stand up. And you can do this with or without weights. You know, if you want to make it harder, you can grab weights and sit down and stand up. And you can do that for 30 seconds or a minute and do a couple sets. Just really whatever works best for you. I also found online some modified jumping jacks that you can do. So I know you guys aren't gonna be jumping around, but you can do like, you know, standing jumping jacks, and you can switch legs. And you can also do this in a chair if you need to sit down and just do some jumping jacks, just something to get you moving and to get your heart rate up. You can also march in place, so you know, if you are cooking dinner or watching TV, you can just, you know, march in place, just get moving. And then you can also do, this is kind of a modified version of that, but you can do the seated hip marching, so it's effectively the same thing. You know, if you're watching TV or you're just bored, you can do that. And then another thing that people should remember is that, you know, other things count as exercise. So if you're doing chores like vacuuming and mopping, that counts. Doing laundry, you can even walk up and down the stairs in your house if you want to do that. So any of those are good aerobic exercises that you can do in place of your leg exercises here, just to get your heart rate up.
I'm going to now show you what you would do in place of arms if you were coming to see us at Cardiac Rehab. Most of these are like strength training or free weight activities. If you don't have any weights, you can use soup cans, bottles of Gatorade, any kind of water bottles, anything that's weighted you can use in your hands. Or you can basically just move your arms also. It would still be getting your blood going in your chest, which is really good to aid in the healing of your heart. So I'm going to show you some things. Me and Mackenzie have these chairs because it's really good to do something with armed chairs when you're doing the sit to stands up earlier, or with the straight backs. That way when you're doing these weights, you want to make sure that you have good posture, so that, because if you're out of line or crooked when you're doing one of them, tomorrow you could wake up and be sore, not because of the weight you did, but because you weren't setting correctly. So we're going to demonstrate. We just have 1 to 2 pound weights, which is perfect because we're just building strength here. We're not trying to gain muscle or anything. Okay, so if you're at home, that's what we would recommend. So we're going to sit down and we're going to get all the way to the back of our chair and make sure that we are in, our posture is correct before we start any of these. The first one that we're going to do is a bicep curl. So for that, you want to make sure that your elbows are tucked, because you're not going to want to move the top part of your arm, and just kind of curl your biceps, okay? All of these we would recommend doing like 10 reps, and you can start out just doing them twice, like go through all of them and do 10, and then do them again a second time. And then the next day, see if you're sore or anything, if you haven't done these before. And if you weren't, then you can do them 3 times the next time you decide to exercise. But this would be good, these would be good to do, and then do one of your aerobic exercises, and then you could come back and do these again. So then the next one that we have is your rows. Okay, so I like these. You keep your elbows tucked to your side like this, and you're just gonna row. And you want to keep your back on your chair. You don't want to overextend. Just go straight out and then back. Just slow movements. None of these are fast movements. You keep your core tight. It's gonna help strengthen your diaphragm.
You only want to go as far out as you can without moving your back. You don't want to bend over and hurt your back at all. So just keep all of your body, aligned and still, and just move your arms forward.
Exactly. And just do 10 of these also, and then we can switch to the next one. Okay, and then we have the lateral raises. So for these, you're gonna keep your back straight also and come out so we don't hit each other. And then straight in front of you. You don't want your arms straight out. You kind of want to have a little bend to them, and then straight in front of you. And also keeping your back straight against the back of your chair. That's just a good way to make sure that you have good posture and you're doing this correctly. Okay, and then the next one are your front raises. So you're just gonna make sure your posture is correct, and then just raise. You can do one at a time, or you can do both of them, whichever you feel comfortable. And just a slight bend in your elbow and straight in front of you.
You want to make sure these are slow and purposeful movements. You don't want to, go too fast and hurt yourself. So just nice and slow up and down.
Yes. The next one we have is the shoulder shrugs, and you can do these sitting down. If you have the armchair though, they might get in your way. So you could stand. I'll stand if we can do. But you just put your weights down to the side, or whatever you're using as weights, and just shrug your shoulders. Just like that. It may seem kind of silly. And for those of you that have shoulder problems, this might not be a move for you, but this does also help with the strength training. And then I have one more, and I don't know if everyone would want to do this one, but you can do this one against a wall, against a countertop or anything, but this is a push-up against a wall. But you can also do a countertop or anything. You just put your arms against it and go as far down as you can, and then bring it back up.
The more you adjust your legs, the easier or harder it'll get. If you're farther away, it'll make it harder, and if you need to make it easier, you just come closer. You can adjust it and modify it to whatever your needs are.
And if any of these moves you don't think that you would like or even need to attempt to try, that's fine. We just were trying to come up with some fun things and creative things to do while you're at home. That way you guys are still staying active. The other things that we wanted to talk about before we finish our video is that if you are a CHF patient, please continue to do your daily weights. Okay, even though you are supposed to stay at home, and we're all trying to keep everyone healthy and during this time, but every morning you weigh the same way every morning on your scale, and you keep track of those, and you watch for symptoms such as 3 to 5 pound weight gain. You need to call your doctor still, or an increased cough because of that. You need to call your doctor. Still those same symptoms that you would look for if you're a CHF patient. And make sure you're not eating a lot of salt while you're at home during this time.
For pulmonary patients, you want to remember, if you have an incentive spirometer at home, it's that funny looking machine with the ball that you breathe into. You want to be doing that as much as you can at home. Just staying hydrated, keeping healthy. Pursed-lip breathing while you're exercising, that's always good for our pulmonary patients. So just remembering those little tips that will help you while you're exercising.
We hope this helps you guys. I'm sorry it's not perfectly done, but we will be calling to check on you guys, and we hope that you're all staying healthy in this time and that we miss you.